His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. Greetings in the name of one God, Emperor Haile Selassie I. Blessed be Jah Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie I. His Majesty. My name is Abed Abdia from the Church Branch, North America. Understand? And tonight is both a celebration, but also, a goal. Make sure everybody understand that we just heard news in Ethiopia that the Prime Minister is thinking about releasing some of the prisoners them. Understand? And by prisoners them, we mean the political prisoners. Understand? Those who's fighting for justice. Not the evil man them that's against Ethiopia, but those who's fighting for justice, their justice over there. Whether it be for land rights, understand? Whether it be for anything. But they're being released over there or being think about being released. So we have to understand that the mass movement played a big role in that part right there. And not just only our voice alone, but to any viewers and any followers behind us that also send out videos to we give thanks for the item as well. Because voice matters, understand? Words matter. But we can't deter from the topic that the Church of Emperor Haile Selassie I goal is what? The restoration and the dynasty of who? Emperor Haile Selassie I. Understand? So we can't deter from that path right there. Yes, it's good and swell that the Prime Minister is having a change of heart, or if the UN is pressuring him. Understand? But we can't make, because of that one victory, we forget about the war. No. Understand? We have to be mindful of that right there. And be realistically speaking, understand, not just only restoration of dynasty we want, but we want a constitutional conference in Ethiopia. Why we want that for? Because we want the Prime Minister, the President, the whole council of them, understand, to sit down and to re-examine the Constitution, because 1974-75 Mengistu, who we are still calling for to get locked up, abolished monarchy. And monarchy is the foundation, the civilization, the strength of what Ethiopia is built off of. Not Prime Minister or what they have today. Understand? So we have to look at that again. We all should ask them to re-examine the Constitution. Understand? And to the Chinese, understand, who's going over there, leave Ethiopia. Because to the foreigners, them, it make it seem like Ethiopia is one of the fastest growing countries in the world and blah, blah, blah. True, the people them is brilliant and they're smart. But they're being played as a fool because China is going over there, buying up the people in land, bringing their own people over there, bringing their own program over there, charging them on them little and nothing. Sweatshops, like the Buna said, we don't want no neo-colonialists in Ethiopia. If you're not going to help Ethiopia by working with the people them, by giving the people them, then don't bother go inside Ethiopia. So we can't be, again, like I said last week, we can't be alone in this. The Church of Emperor Haile Selassie I cannot be the only voice in this matter. Because we see a while ago that the Prime Minister is itching. Not because the UN pressure him only, but our voice matters. Understand? So again, what's the goal mindset? Not for us to this prison thing right here of the protest them being moved. Yes, to the protest them that are coming out of the prison, God bless them, understand? But our mindset has to be to the future. We want a king in the sea. We want monarchy back in Ethiopia. And the government have to bring it back. Not should, they have to bring it back. So with that, understand, His Majesty bless the item, keep the item safe, understand, and blessed be Jah Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie I, His Majesty.
Yes. Greetings in the name of the Church of Emperor Haile Selassie I, one God. Long live the throne and the dynasty of Emperor Haile Selassie I, through Prince Harry Jacob. Yes. My name is Ismail, but my Babylon or regular name is Jelani. I'm the assistant abbot in North America to Abbot Abdia. In supporting of what he's saying, you have to look at it as, yeah, it's a good thing that we got somewhat of a recognition that the Prime Minister is considering letting the political politicians go back in Ethiopia. But we have to also realize that liberation and restoration, we have to understand that they could be even just murmuring that because they see what we're doing.
True.
You understand? And that's just a bait to get our mind off of the objective. So liberation and restoration, we need people to really endorse what we're saying. Because what we're saying is true towards mankind. We're not defending no foreign God or no, we defending God, brethren, Haile Selassie I, and his struggle. You understand? So to everyone who love justice and hate aggression, I want to stand up for something. This is it right here. You understand? And the next thing too is with the Chinese, them going to Ethiopia building sweatshops. We have to understand that when you look at the Western world, as brother Eugene said, you understand that China is, they said that Ethiopia now is the ally of the West. Since when? Since when? Ethiopia is from the East. You understand? So we have to understand that even all the sweatshops, all the solar farms that they building in Ethiopia, why it's not our people? It's just like the Jordan sneakers. It's just like they go into Ethiopia, build sweatshops, pay them to make teddy bears, Jordans, you name it, equipment, stamp made in China when it was made in China, and say it was made in China. We have to understand that they're paying Ethiopians probably 10 cent equivalent of our money. And who's a foreman or a boss on the side? A Chinese.
Sure.
So when they bring their Chinese people to come work, it's not for them to be a part of the sweatshop. They're the bosses looking over the Ethiopian slaves. So it's a form of slavery. They're mocking us as a people. And we have to speak out against it because it's not justice. It's injustice. You understand? And His Majesty said, what reply shall I bring back to my people?
True.
And it's the same thing we defending that His Majesty said in 36. What reply and what contribution do we have to our liberation and restoration? God government must come back. No! His Majesty live it. Blessed be Jah.
Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie I, live it. Greetings in the name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I, one God. I greet you today, Wednesday, December 3rd, in the name of His Imperial Majesty. January 3rd, in the name 2018, in the name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I, and the restoration movement, the mass movement that is going forward and having an impact in Ethiopia. We see the evidence of this in the announcement of the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Haile Mariam Desalegn, that he is going to release political prisoners. It says in the article, it says, in a surprise move, Ethiopia's Prime Minister has announced the release of political prisoners and the closure of a notorious detention center allegedly used as a torture chamber. Those held in jail across the country include opposition activists from the Amhara and Oromia region, which were at the center of anti-government protests in 2015 and 2016, as well as the southern nations and nationalities peoples regions, and journalists who have criticized the government, says BBC Ethiopia correspondent Emmanuel Igunza. The prisoners also include UK citizen Andar Gadshev Tezeki, who was seized in 2014 when changing planes in Yemen and forced to go to Ethiopia. It is difficult to know how many political prisoners there are, but our corresponding estimates, there are about 1,000 people held under the country's anti-terrorism proclamation, including high-profile leaders from the opposition. However, there are another 5,000 cases still pending, made up of those arrested after a state of emergency was declared in October 2016. The government has given no timeline on the release of the prisoners, including those still awaiting trial, or explained exactly who is to be considered political and who is not. So this announcement by the Prime Minister is putting perfume on a pig. Because it still stinks. The Ethiopian government still stinks because they still have the stink of the overthrow of His Majesty on all of them.
Socialist.
You understand? And they have the blood of millions of Ethiopia on their hands.
Sure.
So they stink. And you can't put no perfume on it until they sit down to restore the throne of His Majesty
Constitutional
and
conference.
to change the constitution, having a constitutional conference to change the constitution,
Sure.
to put back monarchy into the Ethiopian government, which will bring back the integrity of Ethiopia.
Majesty. Sure.
Because His Majesty established Ethiopia as a nation of the first world in Ethiopia before they overthrew him. And therefore they threatened the integrity of Ethiopia at that time and destroyed the integrity of Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a tool in the world to be used by first world countries to rape the country of their resources and pay the government money and in arms and weapons to destroy their same Ethiopian people, not to fight anybody else, but to destroy their own Ethiopian people. Perfume and a pig, brethren and sisters. So we call for the arrest of Mengistu. We call for the Ethiopian government to have constitutional reform to restore the throne of Ethiopia. The Prime Minister, Haile Mariam, says he needs to have change because he sees the need of change. Well, the change that Ethiopia is asking for, Mr. Prime Minister, is the restoration of the throne of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I, and the restoration of the integrity of Ethiopian history in the world. So, we call for all these things to be done in Ethiopia. And Mr. Prime Minister, as an ally of the West, you are trying to play everyone for the fool. But we see through these moves that you are making because you announced the release of the hostages, if they are hostages in that case, but you announced the release of the prisoners, of the political prisoners, but you did not announce when they were going to be released and how they were going to be released. Are they going to be released into slavery again, into Chinese working camps, slavery camps? Is that what their plan is for them? Or are they going to be given a way to integrate themselves back into society as political people and given a free voice? So, with all these things, we ask the Ethiopian people and the Ethiopian government to reconsider, bring back Prince Ermias into the constitution of Ethiopia as the dynastical son of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I and the head of the Imperial Ethiopian World Council. We ask, because you're already on this track, we know this, that you're on this track as Prince Ermias has been ambassador for Ethiopia to Australia and to Canada. But this is not enough. Constitutional reform must be done in Ethiopia.
Sure.
Give thanks, His Majesty. Blessed be Jah Rastafari,
Emperor Haile Selassie I.
Yes, greetings in the name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, one God, blessed be Jah
Rastafari, Emperor.
My name is Brother Rav, Brother Amaziah, one of the Levites, priests of the Church of Haile Selassie I here in New York City, Brooklyn. And, you know, it was news to me also to hear that Ethiopia has announced that they're looking to release political prisoners, you know, of opposition forces that are opposite the present government of Ethiopia today and those who have been arrested for protesting. But, you know, the brethren before me, Brother Haniel, Brother Eugene, read a portion of an article that we have. And, you know, just listening to it, we understand that, you know, although they announced the release of these prisoners, that is just a promise. Because, as it states, they didn't give a date. There's no estimated time. So, although you say it today, that may not happen for another 25 years. So we don't know when they're going to be let out.
True.
You understand? But we understand that if you read more of the article, in the article they make a statement about that, you know, part of the pressure behind this and part of the reason behind this is because of certain international information being given out there. People are starting to become aware, and because of those Facebook people. That's what it says, those Facebook people. So we know that, you know, with the help of the IDEM who are watching it and putting out the information, that the mass movement has influenced even the Prime Minister's decision to even make a statement like that, you know, because as we said before, we have to keep the pressure on, we have to make them aware. But we of the Church of Haile Selassie I, we of the mass movement, we of the IWF still have to make the people them understand that although this is good news, we have to keep ourselves focused, and that focus is the restoration of the dynasty of Emperor Haile Selassie I as the governing force of Ethiopia and Africa today. You understand? Because letting out the prisoners on a promise, you understand? And a lot of people say yay to that. But at the end of the day, we have to look at it and know that a lot of the atrocities that are happening in Ethiopia today wouldn't happen under the government of Haile Selassie I. You understand? And that is a surety. So we're not going to get hung up on this freeing of prisoners and stuff. It's a good thing.
Sure.
But we're not going to make it the all-in-all thing like, okay, they're going to let out some of the prisoners. All right, mass movement is done. We don't have nothing to talk about again. No, it can't work that way because the goal is for the restoration of the throne of Haile Selassie I, to see his dynasty, his children, his lineage rule Ethiopia under monarchy, theocracy, which is the legacy of Ethiopia before any monarchy on this planet Earth. You understand? We have the oldest monarchy and we have to bring it back. And as I said, a lot of the things that's happening in Ethiopia today wouldn't happen because look, even China who have sweatshops in Ethiopia today and are building more sweatshops in Ethiopia. So look at what has happened to Ethiopia, that you have sweatshops in Ethiopia, the richest nation in all of Africa, the one that has the most resources, have all the animals, gold, silver, agriculture, the richest soil that grows anything that you put into the ground. And the people are so desperate now under this government and under this regime that sweatshops could be allowed in Ethiopia so people could make their minimal amount of money so they could eat bread. The nation that Ethiopia itself rise out of a backward state through Haile Selassie I. And now today, China as a neo-colonial power is controlling Ethiopia. You know what neo mean? Neo mean new. Sure. New colonialists. They are the new colonialists in Ethiopia, in Africa today, and not just there in the Caribbean. Have sweatshops in Haiti, they have sweatshops in Jamaica, have sweatshops in Trinidad. Everywhere they go. So the Chinese are the neo-colonialists. That's why we have to put a stop to this and keep the struggle alive and keep talking about what we're talking about and put the pressure on Ethiopia and tell them, say that, listen, we want a constitutional conference and a constitutional committee to re-examine the constitution and bring back monarchy so that way these things could stop.
True.
Because sweatshop in Ethiopia, they mash up Africa.
True.
And Ethiopia as the head has sweatshop. No, let's re-examine it again, people. Let us not just be gloriously happy. Yes, the mass movement message is making waves, is getting through. And we got to keep on talking. We got to keep making these things part of the conversation so that way people become aware and that we don't forget. You understand? Haile Selassie I dynasty must rule in Ethiopia again. The throne must come back again. Monarchy must rule in Ethiopia to bring back unification of Ethiopia, Ethiopian people home and abroad, and bring back the unification of Africa as the world leader for the 21st century. Haile Selassie I liveth. Blessed be
Jah Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie I liveth.
Majesty. Yes, greeting to all who are Facebook watching this broadcast. My name is Peniel. I'm one of the priest Levites here at the Church of Haile Selassie I, Barbetta Christian Haile Selassie I, which is a part of the estate of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. So we are here to agitate for the restoration of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I through his grandchildren as to restore the monarch family back to rule Ethiopia. Because when you look at the government, the state of government in Ethiopia right now, what I mean by a foreign power come to rule Ethiopia, it's proven with the Chinese and this sweatshop. Because when you look at it, the Chinese use prison as an institution to grow their economics. Prisoners is a new slavery. Yes, it's a new slavery where they use to build their economic power and then bring it to Ethiopia. They have it here in America too, because the prison here is an institution, it's a workhouse, industry. They make furniture, they make food, they make clothes. They make everything for nothing. You understand? That's what they're bringing into Ethiopia. And we reject that.
True.
We want our monarchy. We want our monarchy to come back and rule Ethiopia and give us people a decent wages and don't use the prison as a platform to expand your riches. Sure. Because it's not riches. It's just a platform to be evil, cruelty and evil. You understand? So we're not going to buy that. We're not going to buy that. We want to have you call a conference to look at your constitution and bring back the monarchy government in power. Sure. You understand? Not just as a puppet. No, not like a puppet or really come and for ceremony and celebration and pampers. No, want them to come and rule because God put them there to rule. You understand? God put them there to rule because they have that love for the land. They have love for people. You understand? So we don't want love because of riches because you get paid off by the Chinese. No, you people come first. People come first. People are what you call the
like His Majesty said, the greatest resource of any nation
is the people. The greatest resource of any nation is the people. If you can't make the people become cattle, subservient to you, the government. No, His Majesty never did that. His Majesty rise His people, rise
Share
them,
power,
educate
share
them,
power.
and share power with the people. Because He make them become part of His government. You understand? And God is giving us free will. And you try to oppress another will because they disagree with you. You try to suppress them. No, we don't work like that. We work under a constitutional monarchy, And with that, I'm just saying to the world who's watching this, keep abreast of the mass movement, because the mass movement is growing, and we need the people out there to share these broadcasts, to bring down the government of Ethiopia, because it's a foreign invader. You understand? So with that, I say, His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I,
live it, Emperor Haile Selassie I.
Majesty.
Yes, greetings in the name of the Most High Jah.
Rastafari, Emperor
Haile Selassie the first, living God. Yes, Facebook, Happy New Year 2018, and just want to say that the mass movement is great, because it have the government of Ethiopia in thoughts of freeing Ethiopian prisoners, protesters, peaceful protesters, yes. And we give thanks for that thought, and the objective that they have, and I hope they keep it. They hope they keep it and free all of them.
True.
Free all of them. All 5,000 and more. Because the Ethiopian campaign, the Ethiopian government need a change in the constitution, a reform of the constitution of Ethiopia to restore and bring back His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, legal constitutional monarchy back in Ethiopia. Take a revise in the constitution is necessary, because the IWF and the Church of Emperor Selassie I is the legal institution of estate of His Emperor Haile Selassie I. It's His Majesty government in exile, So the constitution that needs to be in Ethiopia right now is the constitution of Emperor Haile Selassie I that he made in 1936. So just be aware that the mass movement 1931, after he became emperor. So know that the throne must be restored in Ethiopia. We must have a king back in Ethiopia. That it have an emperor to do what is people and the government is not doing. The government right now supposed to be the emperor's people, but they're not doing what he want them to do. So it's not the emperor government. So put back the emperor government in Ethiopia. That is the
prime goal, yes.
The prime objective of this mass movement. Join it. Be a part. The Ethiopian government right now is treacherous and wicked to what they're doing to the people of Ethiopia. Especially bringing in China. Bringing in China to build sweatshop, to colonize Ethiopia more than it is now? No.
More than it is now.
That is madness. And China, go back where you're from. Go back China and do that.
To your people.
Get out of Ethiopia. You understand? If you want to help Ethiopia, help the mass movement restore Emperor Haile Selassie I government back in Ethiopia.
Then we can talk about work.
You understand?
Alright, Emperor
If you want to
Haile
help
Selassie
Ethiopia, that's what you have to do. You understand?
Come out.
And then we could talk
about work and
about work.
Economic.
Because His Majesty people, you have people all over the world. You understand? It's people from the Church of Emperor Haile Selassie I and the Ethiopian World Federation. The Imperial Ethiopian World Federation is the advocate for the constitutional monarchy back in Ethiopia. So, His Majesty Emperor Selassie I, give thanks, His Majesty.
Blessed
be Jah, Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie I liveth.
Majesty.